do. Do-de-o-do, do-do-do. Well, hello, crafters. Big D here. Badly in need of a haircut. Oh my God. Too much hair. Gotta get that head shaved. How are you people? How you doing? Big D here, and welcome to Taco Tuesday. Commodore coming in from high orbit. Hello, sir. Don't mind me, I'm just taking a fresh print right off of the printer onto my drying rack. Better known as a stack of paper towel. LOL. Man, I gotta go to the hardware store and get some fresh alcohol. I am almost out. I gotta go get denatured alcohol. Oh, what did I print? We'll be talking about that, but I can show you. There is a place on my mini factory called the Vial, or the Valiant and the Vial, and I am printing a bunch of fantasy Nurgle type figures for my Maggotkin of Nurgle army. Since I'm not going to be playing in tournaments or anything like that, I mean real tournaments, and the tournaments I'm in are all like, yeah, whatever. As long as we know what they are, we don't care. I got some really cool STLs, some really original looking STLs of some corrupted dudes. And it's a really nice modular kit that does both very gothic knights looking dudes and these just disgusting, viled, ripped up looking guys. Let's take a peek here. Who else we got in here? Mr. Chaos Skill. Is water washable? Where's it? We can talk about that. Mr. Tesh, Casey, Mr. Kirschbaum, and Tina Raven. Hello, everyone. All right, so a couple things. Is water washable resin any good? I don't like it. And to be honest, from what I've heard by talking to people that have used it at length and talking to a couple friends of mine that are chemists, the whole point of water washable resin is that it's just not as stinky as alcohol. And that's it. The water is still nasty. It's still toxic. You still need gloves. It's still everything else you have to do. It's just you can use water instead of alcohol. I've heard it doesn't rinse as clean and it's more brittle. I really like the Eldar Mars standard photo resin gray. I've had no problems with it. I've had no issues with it. I have print really big things. I have print really small things. I have print high detail, and I have never had an issue with it. So that's the stuff they make for their printer. I go with it, and I'm fine with it. Mythos. Hello, beautiful people. Let's see here. Fly the Phoenix. Oh, my goodness. My beautiful niece is here. Is that going to be the case for the year-long tournament series starting next month too? Yes, actually, as I understand it, as I'm on the committee, as long as the figures, at least the half that's at Faclandia, I don't know about Hobby Nights rules, but at the Faclandia half. And we're going to talk about the tournament later. We got a lot to talk about tonight. I got lots and lots of stuff going on. As I understand it, the RTT series, as long as it is clear what the figures are, and they're what you see is what you get. You still got to be WYSIWYG with them. Or as close to WYSIWYG. I mean, they gotta be WYSIWYG. I mean, there's just really no way about it. If you have extra baubles and shit on them, nobody cares, but they have to at least have the minimum weapons they actually have on the figures. So I don't think anybody there has a problem with printed figures. My man, Mr. Kirschbaum, he is the lead TO there. He could tell me right here and now, are printed figures okay at that RTT? And we'll wait for his response there. So what is going on? All right, well, let's talk about, like I said, what's on the crafting table right now. Other than the army that I'm currently painting for my buddy Quinn, who is one of the owners at Factlandia Gaming. Let me close a couple things out real quick. Let me close some crap out first. I don't know why I've got everything open. There we go. Is that better? I hope that's better. Get something in here. All right. So, my buddy Quinn Kentucky, who is one of the owners at Factlandia Gaming, was at a GT in Fort Atkinson this past weekend called Fort Palooza. Was the GT event. 46 attendees. And he went 5-0 with his Grey Knights and won. I'm going to be talking to him this coming weekend, hopefully, and kind of get some insights to what he did so I can pass along whatever insights I got from him. It should be good. So there's that. Let's see what else. Like I said, I'm working on, as far as what's on the bench. I am working on, again, these wonderful Age of Sigmar figures. I've got the demons already in the boxes, so I'm working on those sisters I'm painting for Quinn, but I'm also building my Age of Sigmar Maggotkin of Nurgle army. They're just such beautiful sculpts. I love this guy's work. His knights are really great. I kind of want to shrink them down, because if you print them at their standard size, they're 40 millimeter bases. They don't look like Stormcast. They're like Gothic looking knights. So I kind of want to shrink them down a level and print them up so they go on 32s or 25s and use them for like a City of Sigmar type thing, or other options are gorgeous figures though. So Valiant and the Vial. Valiant and the Vial on myminifactory.com. Really, really great situation there. I mean, My Mini Factory, don't get me wrong, I really like Cults. I'm a big fan of Cults 3D. But I have heard that there are problems with creators getting paid for the work they do. Like sometimes there's a really long delay between Cults paying them when people buy their figures, which kind of sucks. But there's some really good selections there on Cults. The flip side is My Mini Factory, they do really good work there. Their creators get paid right away for when they sell things they've sculpted. And one of the other things I really like about them is that they've started doing a Patreon-like service that they call Tribes. And if you're doing it right on their site, when you join a tribe, basically you join a Patreon, as soon as you join that tribe, the models that you get for that thing slide right into your library. So they're yours forever, but you've got a copy of them in your library. So you at any time can download them and print them out, and you can create lists on your profile page so that you can catalog what you have access to. Because some creators are really bad about packaging, like you get multiple packs from them and they'll have a same set of files in multiple packages. So I like creating my own like organizations there, because I don't want to have to download everything to my machine every time, every single thing. If I can save a couple terabytes of data by leaving it up on my mini factory, that's awesome. Now my mini factory says, hey, we're going to be going down, so then let me get everything down. But once it's up there forever. So it's good that way. So I'm a real big fan of My Mini Factory. If you have never gone out there, if you're a 3D printer, go out to myminifactory.com. Just tool around, look around. Keywords work. There's a lot of really good proxy models. There's a lot of really good, just models. Gee, my man, what's up? Are you hungry, my man? So yeah, I'm a real big fan of My Mini Factory. So again, I'm working on that stuff there. Anytime, Max. Hey, I'll be bringing those finished prints over to you this weekend. That's another thing. I got a couple of friends, my buddy Max and whatnot, that they're giving me STLs and I'm printing for them. Since I don't have a lot to print for myself right now, I got a big box of prints I got to bring over to Max this weekend. My buddy Max, just so it's said here, if anybody is familiar with my with the local play scene, if you ever want to better understand why you should or shouldn't play a model, or what strategies to kind of look at with an army you're building, Max is your guy. I would say between Max and Quinn, they're probably the two most knowledgeable guys about 40K that I know when it comes to the actual playing at a tactical and strategic level. So, big. And the nice thing I love about both of them, they're very humble about how good they are. And I love to see that. And Max is he's a great teacher. He really is. We all do. We all have what we do. We all have what we do great. I build terrain. So we got that going on. That's what's on the bench right now. Lady D was going to join me tonight. I know a couple people were asking. She is doing much better. She had her follow-up appointment yesterday. She's healing great. She's going back to work next week. 3 weeks after her surgery, she's going back to work. It's awesome. So it's wonderful to see. She would be joining me tonight, but she's a little tired. We did something dumb this weekend. Her doctor even kind of went, kind of yelled at her about it. If people know I'm a huge football fan. I love American football. I love my Green Bay Packers. They are like my life's blood. And I had an opportunity. My boy Tech North Studios, Jason, was able to hook me up with some gorgeous tickets. If you've been on my Facebook or my Instagram, you may have seen some shots. Take care, Max. Appreciate you, buddy. I took some shots for my seats. It's absolutely fantastic seats. Her back really wasn't digging walking up 40 flights of stairs, or 40, I shouldn't say flight stairs. She wasn't digging walking up 40 large stadium steps to get to her seats. She wasn't digging sitting on a bench for 3.5 hours. So, and she's just a trooper. She stuck it out. But yeah, she was done by the end of the day. So she's still kind of. I mean, it was wiped Sunday. We got back. The game was Saturday. I came home Sunday. I went and played my role playing game that Little D runs. I came home and she was trying to have a conversation with me, and I just literally kept falling asleep on her like a toddler. It's like, and I was pretty wiped out Sunday. She's still feeling it, and that's okay. It was still a great time. Even though my Packers lost. It's okay. It's okay. I also got to thank my buddy, Technor Studios. The man has been doing a lot to improve himself physically. He has lost a ton of weight. He's gotten himself in great shape for an older guy. He's not as old as me, but he's an older guy to a lot of people in our group, and he has really gotten himself in phenomenal shape. Lost a lot of weight, and he passed a lot of his bigger shirts on to me. So I got some awesome Chaos shirts because he is one of Chaos's firstborn sons. So it's awesome. Again, a big shout out to my man, Technor Studios. If you are not on his Instagram, Technor Studios, go to his Instagram. The man is a phenomenal painter. He is an absolutely phenomenal painter. He does commission work, but he posts his work up there regularly, and he just does incredible work. Also, he does a podcast that you'll find here on YouTube and a couple other places with my buddy Antonio, where they look at older movies like from the 80s and 90s and kind of review them with a modern sensibility called Minorities Report. So if you are into that sort of thing, go over to his YouTube channel and subscribe. It's a great show to listen to. Like every week they pick apart another like old movie from the 80s or 90s, and again they pick it apart and look at it with modern sensibilities, like what was good about it back then, but why does it not work now, and that sort of thing. So it's a really, really good, really makes you think kind of. Honestly, I gotta say, they made me rethink some of my favorite movies of that era. Some of those were some of my favorite movies of all time. They made me rethink and reevaluate some of them. So it's a good one for your head. Throat is still sore from screaming my head off for 3.5 hours of football game. So lots of stuff on the rise. Okay, so there have been leaks upon leaks upon leaks, and there have been from GW gimmies. So the gimmies they've given us are lots of really good pictures of Ben. That's your fault. That is your fault, Ben. I already told you. You are to blame for their loss. You can't get away from that anymore. They've been giving us a lot of gimmies on the new Eldar plastic models. It is very obvious that they are doing a massive refresh of the line. I mean, I've been talking about this for 6 months when I first heard about it from my guys that they're going to be doing a refresh. It's coming. They've already shown a bunch of models, and they've shown some new rules. And a lot of my Eldar players are really, really excited about it. A lot of them still think those Dark Reaper heads are pretty dumb looking, and I'm not going to lie about them. I think they look pretty dumb too, but they look like a modern, updated version of the same helmet that they used before. So they have kind of a silly skull motif that looks, kind of meh. They haven't shown all the aspects. They have not said they're not doing all the aspects. I'm going to be honest with you. I have a very good feeling that this refresh is going to be massive. Now, okay, that's the big point. The Eldar Chaos Box goes on pre-sale in 2 weeks. And that's got all new models in it for Eldar. All new models for Eldar, I believe. And I think the new Chaos model in there, that they're getting the Chosen are getting new models, which doesn't make any sense to me because the Chosen had brand new models in 7th, and they're good models. they're actually really attractive models. So and they are showing a bunch of new, and that's where I'm getting to. They're doing for LVO this week because things were delayed earlier, and otherwise for LVO there's going to be a massive release schedule and a massive show off of all the new models and a bunch of new stuff, mainly for 40K, but we are going to get some Age of Sigmar stuff. We're going to probably get some Kill Team information. Probably going to get where the next box of Kill Team is going to be. They put on pre-order the Krieger basic box, the Commando box, and the Octarius Terrain box, which I actually kind of want to get that Warzone Octarius because that's some really cool terrain. I think 2 or 3 sets that would make a really good board to play on. Right, that's what I'm saying. The only new model in there is the for the Chaos is the Chosen. But that's the thing. The Chosen had a new model in that was introduced in the 7th edition starter. But I don't think they ever actually released it. Ben would know, I think. I don't know if they actually ever released that model outside of the 7th edition starter box. Because I can't ever recall having ever bought it anywhere else. And I converted literally all 5 of mine to Nurgle for other things. So, no, they didn't. So the Forge Fiend's an old model. The Chosen are new. The other model, I think, is new as well. I don't remember. Honestly, they've done nothing to highlight this Chaos release. You don't know anything about Chaos. What do you mean? What do you mean you don't know anything about Chaos? Don't you play Dark Angels? Anyhow. I'm excited for the Eldar releases. At one point, oh yeah, the Warpsmith. That's right. There's a brand new Warpsmith model that's going to be in there too. Yeah, that's right. There's going to be the new Warpsmith in that box. Again, I am so not excited about the Chaos half of that box. Ray has a working Chaos army that he is in the midst of building, and he needs none of the. Well, he needs the Forge Fiend. That's the only thing in that box he even wants. He doesn't need a Warpsmith, and he doesn't need the Chosen. My Chaos list, when I eventually build my list, when I build my army for it, way in the future, it's not anything I'm working on anytime soon. Also has a Forge Fiend, but doesn't have Chosen, doesn't have Warpsmith. So I don't think we're going to buy that box. And that's the thing. It's funny because Chaos is supposed to be getting a massive codex refresh with like all new rules. And everyone's like, but we haven't heard anything. We haven't heard anything. We haven't heard anything. I've finally heard some stuff. Throw it in the chat. Mythos, and I'll answer the question as soon as I can. So I don't remember where I saw the leak at, honestly. It might have been in one of the local chats I'm in. I'm pretty sure it actually was. And I think it was copied from one of the other Facebook, so one of the leak groups I'm in. Yeah, it was supposed to be the Summer of Chaos, and that's why we haven't heard anything yet. But Eldar wasn't supposed to be to this summer either, and now it looks like they're pushing that up. It looks like they're pushing Eldar into the spring so that they can do Chaos fully for the summer. So we were seeing that the Chaos, at least some of the Chaos rules that have been leaked, rather viable source from what I'm hearing, they're getting a lot of the equivalents to Chaos to what the Marines got. The big thing is their combat doctrines. Instead of them getting +1 AP for heavy weapons, grenades, assault, rapid fire, pistol melee, they're getting exploding 6s in those 3 phases. Should the guys be halberd guys or something else? Okay, so let me be honest with you. I was originally of the opinion that I don't see why in the world you would ever build the sword and shield guys again. To be honest, I couldn't see real reason for it because of the 4-up lock on the fact that the shield doesn't affect their invuln save. And somebody pointed out custodians have a 2-up. So if you run them with the shield, they basically have a 1-up. So they basically get to ignore -1 AP. If you put them in a building, they basically get to ignore -2 AP for free. So if you're going to use them in the back and hold stuff in cover, putting them in shields is really good because they can sit and hold and be impossible practically to miss armor saves until you start getting into, heavy weapons. And even then you stop at a 4-up. So there's that. The swords are pistols, so they can use them in melee. They don't get combat doctrines. I haven't play tested any yet. I'm going to be running spears the first time I run. I personally think the spears are a better value. 24 inches, rapid fire. So 12 inches, you get 2 shots. It depends on what aesthetic you like. I think both are viable depending on your play style. If you're playing a defensive, grinded out game, the shields definitely give you a lot more defense versus AP to really need them big weapons to hurt you. So I think it's 6 and 1 half dozen other. No, Commodore, the +1 rule, the max +1 -1 rule only matters in to hit. It's only about to hit. You can't be more than a -1 to hit or more than a +1 to hit. If I have 15 things that give me a +1 to hit, I'm at a +1 to hit. If I have 15 things that give me a -1 to hit, I'm at a -1 to hit. If I have 8 things that add to my armor save, then I have 8 things added to my armor save. If I get hit with an AP -4, I get hit with an AP -4. But yeah, the reason I like the banner, I'll be honest, the big reason I like the banner, they changed the banners, but they changed the banners to work because they're gearing the game to be towards mono armies now. So one of the banners was really cool before, but it did stuff to non-custodies units. Well, they don't have that ability anymore, but it doesn't matter because they don't have any non-custodies really in their army. That banner is really good because like one of them puts together, if you're within 12 inches or see there's 6 or 12 inches of it, you're in light cover. There's another one that if he's within 6 inches, he gives everybody within 6 inches of him an extra attack. That's actually the one I really like the most. But I'm running Solar Watch, which is very fast move and fight now. So that's the way I'm running it. So Sisters Silence do not have Custodes keyword. They are Psychana and Athema. They are allowed to be part of a Custodes army and in a Custodes detachment without breaking the Custodes group, but they don't get the effect of the Martial Katas. You can't have more troops that are Sisters of Silence than you do have other troop types in that detachment. And if you have a character, it cannot be the Warlord. So, which in a Custodes army shouldn't matter because every single Custodes army, doesn't matter what you're playing, every single Custodes army really should take Trajan Valoris. He's so good. And if you put him in your army, he's automatically your Warlord. But you get 2 CP for playing him anyhow. So, yeah, it wouldn't matter. Valeria is an amazing character, so she's worth taking. I'm like I said, I'm working on a list right now that's kind of interesting. I'm going to be kind of fooling around with it this weekend with Max. We're going to throw some dice, kind of throw some units, and just see how they work out. But it's interesting. I don't know if it's good yet. Still a lot of playtesting to do before that February tournament. But I like the Martial Katas. They're interesting in how variable they are. You have a lot more to think about when you use them. And I like the Sisters of Silence. I think they're a great unit. I think giving you a cheap action monkey that actually still has an effect in the game is a good thing. A squad of 5 sisters with bolters can do a full action like they need to because they're a 5-man unit. They can hold an objective, and they've got guns. Plus, they've got that -1 to 18 inches of -1 to psychic rolls. So that's pretty cool. The prosecutors, which are the sword wielders, those swords are deadly and they're fast. For whatever reason, the sisters with the swords are faster than the other 2 squads of sisters. They have like a 7 or an 8 movement. They're just like, I'm running with a sword, and they're really, those swords are powerful. Those swords will cut a Marine down, just like that. They will cut Marines down. So now, admittedly, a Marine can turn around with a bolt gun and do some damage on them because they've got basically Sisters of Battle power armor on. But they're running around with power swords plus. They're running on with 2 damage, strength 6, -2 or -3 AP power swords. So they're good swords. And Valeria, the reason I like her is the fact that if you kill her before she fights, if you're in range of her, she will still fight. She gets up for free and goes, I fight, and then I die. So she's cool that way. Back to leaks. So we got a leak with all of the different Chaos Marines chapter abilities. And I didn't look at all of them. Iron Hands one, the Iron Warriors one had to do with wounding vehicles and damaging buildings, damaging people in buildings and whatnot. Like, I think if they're shooting vehicles or they're shooting people in cover, they get a +1 to wound, which I thought was really cool. Oh, I know what this is. They get a +1 to wound. It was very interesting. They looked at all the different chapters they showed. The one they didn't show is the one that we've been hearing rumors about, which is the World Eaters. The World Eaters rules were not in the leak, which is, again, kind of reinforcing the idea that we may be getting a third Demon Primarch, and that Angron is finally done letting the Imperium have their way, and he is coming out of his fortress in the warp to kick some ass. The World Eaters are not my favorite chapter. I am not gonna lie. They're not they're cool. I dig them, but they're not like Angron's not my guy. I got a lot of buddies that Angron is their guy. But the fact that they're getting their own supplementary book tells me that GW is maybe listening to their followers. They're listening to their players and going, hey, stop treating the Chaos Marines like red-headed stepchildren. Yeah, you keep giving the special Marine guys their stuff, but the basic Marines are the bulk of Chaos. They need a little love because right now they suck. And Marines are really good. They've got lots of weapon options, lots of unit options, lots of options. And Chaos Marines really don't. Chaos Marines are kind of meh. They're really kind of meh. So if this works out, that'd be good for them. So here's hoping. And here's hoping that they do an Angron figure, because if you can say nothing about GW, they know how to make good-looking figs. Both Age of Sigmar and 40K, whenever they do a big-name character, those figures are gorgeous. So seeing a Demon Primarch, a third one, I mean, both the last two have been the figure of the year. I'm not going to doubt that if they do release Angron, Angron won't be figure of the year for this year. And I know that makes my buddy Mythos mad, because that'll be the third Demon Primarch and basically 3.5 Primarchs to one Primarch on the hero side. But the Empire really isn't the heroes guy, and they get enough other stuff. They have enough great units, and they have enough great vehicles, and enough great named characters. Like, so many good named characters. I don't mind that Chaos keeps getting their big bad guys out there. I think they're going to eventually have those big bad guys for most of their factions. I know, there it is. I feel bad for you, Mythos, but I understand. But I mean, you look at it. You look at the Eldar. I mean, the Eldar have Eldrad, and they have all the Phoenix Lords, and the Inari have the Triumvirate, and the Drukhari have what, like 3 named characters? They have the Homunculus dude, that's the Charge of Kamara. They have Drazar, Master of Blades, and then they have Lilith Hesprax, and that's it. But I mean, the 3 people they have are like the 3 heads of state over there. The Tau have the 2 named ethereals. They have the named tanker. And then they have Shadow Sun, and now they're going to be releasing the new named Pathfinder guy, which is cool. But I mean, you would rather trade the entire Phobos Vanguard reign for problem is, okay, and the problem is, and you know, some honest truth here. I recognize where you're coming from. But if they bring back a Primarch, who do they bring back? And I had a conversation with a friend of mine about this. And we were talking about it. Who do they bring back? They've already brought back the Ultramarines. And the Ultramarines have a ton of named characters. And none of their named characters are going to get any play because they've got Rabute. So they bring back the Lion. Okay. Now let's talk about the Lion's chapter, the Dark Angels. One of the most popular chapters. How many named characters are there in the Dark Angels? I think last time we talked about, when me and this buddy might talk about, I think there's like 8 or 9 named characters already in the book, and there's some of them that never see play because of it. You look at the Wolves. The Wolves have the most named characters in the game. They have like 15 named characters. So do you bring back? We can't bring back Sanguinius. He's dead
for now.
So you can't bring him back. So there's your big 4. So then where do you go? I would say if you bring back just named, just look at like named guys. So if you've got named guys in a chapter and you bring in their Primarch, you're not going to be using a lot of these other figures. They're already named figures in these lines that aren't being used. Because, to be honest, the Space Marines kind of suffer from bloat. There are units that don't get used. There's so many units that don't get used. Because there's no way to really find a good use for them. I mean, there are people that use them casually. That's fine. But, I mean, there's definitely some stinkers out there. Reavers, which are horrible. So what do? Do you want to bolster a line? How about we run Korax? You're talking about an army that has a single named character. Or what about bringing back Vulcan? A line that has 2 named characters in it? Or the White Scars, who have a single named character? No, we all know who the named Primarchs are. I'm talking figures that are named characters, unique named characters in their codex that have a figure for them. They're part of a Lord of War, not just an HQ. That's true. That's very true. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't mind seeing. I'd love to see Layman Russ in 40K. Oh, look, it's little D. I'd love to see the Lion in 40K. I'd love to see Jagatai Khan. I'd love to see a bunch of different Primarchs in 40K. Well, the biggest problem with having one of the Primarchs more show up in 40K is, and if any more of the Primarchs show up, you push the balance of power. Being honest, you push the balance of power. Having a second Primarch, you give the Imperium an edge.
I'm only going to interject a little bit here. Just because I'm here and I'm heading back upstairs soon.
Maybe.
But I would like to point out, all 4 of the Trader Primarchs, well, even more than just the 4, are active. Whether or not they're actually doing stuff like is equal to, if not stronger than most Primarchs.
Here's the difference. The Trader Primarchs don't get along with each other.
The normal Primarchs don't really either.
Yeah,
they get along somewhat, but they don't get along.
They're single-minded in what they want, though.
Yeah.
So they would get along.
Like if Gulliman and Lehman Russ are around, they're going to have conflict.
No, I don't believe so. I honestly don't believe so.
You don't think that their morals or ideals are going to clash at all?
No, it doesn't matter. The Emperor chose Gulliman to lead things, and he's got the sword to prove it. Any other truly loyal Primarchs can be, okay, you're calling the shots.
That's fair.
That's
but
the difference.
Can't be everywhere at once.
But that's the difference. Exactly. He can't be everywhere at once. And if he gets a second Primarch, now he can. Because he can be one place and he can send the Primarch to go deal with problems.
And there are dozens of fronts.
I understand that. I'm just saying, I think a second Primarch, I like, part of the thing is that I don't mind there being Demon Primarchs so much, but I think 30k is the realm of Primarchs. I think 30k should be the realm of Primarchs. I think, honestly, putting the Primarchs on the board is mildly problematic. But it's where the game was going. Once you start putting the Silent King and Primarchs on the board, once you start putting the big guys in charge of the whole thing on the board, you're changing the scope of the game.
I mean, yeah, but if you're just going to have one Primarch as an option, that means none of the other chapters have that scale that they can use. And with the new ruling, it's not like you can do a mixed force of like Ultramarines and Space Wolves.
Doesn't matter.
If you wanted to have a Primarch, it does.
No, it does not, because of the specific rules on Gulliman. He be put with any Marine army. Specifically, rules to him allows him to be with any army and not break. He just has extra bonus when he's with his boys, but he can be with other armies.
I have to look at that because I didn't think that was how it worked.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I do got to get.
Yeah, whatever.
I just want to interject lightly and.
Yeah, whatever. Go deal with your game, you loser.
I'm sorry. I was under a different impression before I told you what else.
The problem with making it even is that it's not a fair fight to begin with because their main leader is incompetent. I'm sorry. How many crusades does it take for him to actually win this fight? Terrain. eBay auction. Chalnath terrain. Hey there, Warmont. And that's the thing. I like the Primarch model. I'm not gonna lie. I like the Primarch models. But they are problematic. You're putting demigods on the board. I mean, you're putting demigods on the board. And it's supposed to be a war game. We've already opened Pandora's box, and we have the Chaos Primarchs on the board. And then 7th edition came around, and they released good old Bobby G. And then 8th edition came out. It's funny, they've been doing one in edition. They put out Magnus. Well, they did 2 editions because they put out Magnus and Bobby G. 8th edition came out. They put out Mortarion. 9th edition came out. And they've put out, looks like they're going to put out Angron. But in 9th edition, they also put out the Silent King. They brought back basically the Primarch of the Necrons. So it makes you think, who's going to get their Primarch next? I mean, they gave the big guy for the Orcs boy, is he not on a par with the other leaders. I mean, Gadskull's a great figure, but boy, is he not worth his points. No, I thought maybe so. I thought Bobby G came out just at the end of 7th, and Mortarion came out just the beginning of 8th. Could be wrong. But I mean, again, Bobby G needs the help. Would it be cool to give him a Primarch to help him out? I could see that. I could see it be cool. But the problem is that because of how everybody is, the amount of arguments going to start. Well, which Primarch should going to be? The Dark Angels want to see their Primarch. The Space Wolves want to see their Primarch. You know, the Blood Angels are like, we're never going to see our guy. Well, yeah, because he's dead. He needs to stay dead. I think you can get away with getting on another good guy, quote unquote, an Imperial Primarch. Let's put it that way. I honestly just think if they're going to do it, they should not do one of the big chapters. They should have one of the smaller chapter guys. Dorn would be good. I'd be all right with Dorn. Because honestly, I think if they brought back Dorn, it would give his Marines maybe a needed upgrade because of how not good they're playing right now. I think it would give them probably a good push to being good and playing again. But we're also talking about the game where big models are really easy to get just murdered off the table too. Especially now that you've got things like the Tau that can go, well, I'm just going to say screw your AP. Or in your invulnerability, I'm going right through to you. So, I mean, but then you look at maybe some of these guys need to have some more of that. They can only take so many wounds a turn again rule, which I think is a good way to make big name characters worth their points. And I think like all the Primarchs should really have that ability. I don't think just Gazkul should have it. and the Silent King. I think all the Primarchs and all the Demon Primarchs should have that ability. I think a lot of named characters should have an ability like that, so they can't just get one shot. I think that's an easy way to make it so you can't just one-shot characters off the table. Because I always found the idea of one-shotting a named character off the table was just kind of like, I don't know, unheroic. You're paying all these extra points for this character and just, they're gone. Goodbye. This is me. I think it's a weird situation all around. I think this idea of having named characters that are from the old, it becomes a battle between showcases. A battle between, like Commodore said, was it centerpiece fights. And it was supposed to be a small portion of a war. And that was another point that somebody made. We were talking about this as well. This new rules that are coming down where you're not going to be able to mix you're not going to be able to mix detachments. Like, if I'm playing Space Marines, I'm not going to be able to play one detachment of Ultramarines and one detachment of Wolves. I have to be all Ultramarines or all Wolves. If I'm playing Mechanicus, I can't have some of my army being from Mars and some of my army being from Metallica. And there's people that are really salty about it. And then we were talking about why. Why does that make sense? It's like, well, why wouldn't they work together? Well, again, there's thematics where armies have massive battles together, and that's the point. If you're playing Apocalypse, you're running an army, and your buddy's running an army, and your other buddy's running an army, you're all working together, then it makes sense. But if you got a 2,000 point army, you are such an infinitesimal portion of a huge battle. You're basically one small group in this fight. And so, yeah, splitting up that little tiny group into even smaller, littler groups doesn't make any sense. At least not for the thematicness that GW always kind of wants for their army. I mean, Soup has always been problematic because Soup, if you talk about it at a game balance level, Soup lists are always the hardest to balance against. And at times, people have used Soup to break the theme of the game to get an advantage that an army wasn't meant to have. A perfect example, this is back in 8th edition. People may remember the Loyal 32 or the Rusty 17, where people would take a Knight list or a Marine list and then pack on 150 points and suddenly add a bunch of command points because they have this little tiny group of really cheap objective holders. It's a really cheap way to make your army more powerful. It wasn't very thematic, but it was a quick way to make it happen. Let me quick catch up with chat here. Top ain't cool to Bobby G, then headshot. Bang! Yeah. One shot Mephiston and 5th for the hammerhead. Insteth. You could do it like that, but here's the problem with that. They got away from characters being parts of units. See, now that used to be a thing because characters and HQs would be attached to units. Then they took that ability away, and now characters just run about free, and they have the lookout sir rule. So if you want to keep Bobby G safe, you got to keep him by a tank where the tank can run in the way, or 3 guys going, we're here so Bobby G doesn't get shot in the head except by snipers. Unless, of course, you're a bodyguard. I don't even have to stand in the way. I can be behind a wall behind you going, you're not shooting him. Bodyguard rule is broken. It's some bullshit. Oh, my God. I had to do with bodyguard in the game, and it's just like, I can't even see them. I can't shoot them. I can't target them. But because they're within like an inch of the guy that they're protecting, he's all alone, and I can't shoot him. Aim with a sniper, because bodyguard says you can't target him. Oh my God. You got to get some indirect fire and nail those dudes then. But then again, indirect fire, I can shoot a guy inside him. I'm inside a box, a magical box. I'm still shooting you in there. I don't care if you're inside of a bunker, underground, I'm dropping a mortar on you, on your forehead. Here you go. Wow, we are all scattered all over the world tonight. We are not staying into a single topic. This is what I like about having everybody here, because we just get these conversations going, and I just kind of all over the place. And you're exactly right. I mean, it would be cool if you purposely could. I still like the idea that you would add a character to a unit. Hi, this character doesn't have a sergeant. You know why it doesn't have a sergeant? Because I put this character in a unit. You know? Squirrel. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. You would take the sergeant out and you'd put the character in the unit. That was what I used to love to do with good old Ragnar. You throw a Ragnar with a group of blood claws, dump them out of a drop ship, and let them go to town. Warpstone Tau DA 2022 Escalation Commodore's Terrain Project. Thank you. All right. So let's talk about Warpstorm. Thank you, Kirschbaum. So Warpstorm is the first I've seen in the last few years, at least the last 5 years that I've been back playing 40K, of a RTT series here in the greater Milwaukee area. And it is an RTT series. It is going to be a series of monthly 2,000 point RTT matches that will lead up to a GT at the end of the year. Basically, if you win one of the RTTs, you automatically have a slot saved for you in the year-end GT. There's going to be 11 total, because there's one that's happening actually at a convention that's a little bigger, but it's 2 stores. It's the Hobby Nights, which is in the West Bend area, and Faclandia, which is in Franklin, which is right here in town in Milwaukee. It's a tiny suburb of Milwaukee. And they're going to be run one at one venue 1 month and one at the other venue the other month. And one at one venue 1 month and then another at the other venue. They're going to go back and forth. And that'll create the initial seating for like the top tier of the people at the tournament. And then it eventually will be, they're going to fill up the entire thing and make a full GT out of it. And kind of crown a 2022 leader. And there are a bunch of 1-day, 3-round RTTs. So it's kind of interesting because we were talking about this. Like, if you win one, you've already got a slot in the big GT at the end of the year. So if you won one, I mean, you could do more to like try and, I guess, increase your ranking, but you've already got a slot. So basically, you can use the rest of the year and the rest of the events if you want to kind of tune your list to make it as murderous as possible, and it'd be kind of fun that way. So it's a thought. I'm going to be in this tournament. I'm part of the group that's helping making things happen. We're doing terrain for it. So the books that you use for it have to be out within 2 weeks of the tournament. So lists have to be in after the Warpstorm RTTs. If I'm at that RTT, I'm going to try and be in all of them. But if I don't, for whatever reason, I'll try and get one of the guys to give me a write-up. But basically, I want to do a write-up and talk about it the following Tuesday every tournament, every month, to talk about the local competitive scene and how it's shaping and molding and what's kind of being seen play and what's not seeing play. And I hope that you guys find that interesting. I think it's interesting, at least for the local Milwaukee crowd, to see what's being played and what's not being played and what to expect and what not to expect. But it also kind of gives the experience so that if you've never been to an RTT and never been to a GT, it kind of gives you some firsthand experience from a guy that you've talked to before about what the experience is like. Yeah, it basically everybody gets one slot if they win one, and if they win a second one, then it goes to the next person down the list. And let's say we're 6 months in, and the top 3 or 5 are all people that have won. It just kind of works its way down. It's like, you know, you're the top person that didn't already have an automatic slot. So there's going to be like 11 automatic slots, as I understand it, the way we're doing it. CA 2022, that is on pre-order right now. It is changing how missions are played. It is changing the battlefields. It is changing points. I don't have a copy yet. I have seen a leaked copy of the rules. I like the way the secondaries work out. I like the maps. I haven't seen how they fully play out together, but it's going to be a lot more interactive. You're not going to be able to drop a 2-man unit into something and have them perform an action and have it just be good. You need 5-man units at a minimum to do stuff. So I think it's good. It's going to make the game more interactive. I think we're going to drop. It's going to cause the scores to drop. And then you're also going to see a lot less of the massive score swaps. Like, you're not going to see, like, again, I'll talk about Quinn, who just won that GT. His second round match, he won 96-21. And 10 of the 21 points his opponent had was for being painted. So it was realistically, in playing points, it was 86-11. That is a massive beatdown / swing. And I think these new rules are going to kind of bring the points closer. In theory, that's what it looks like. If it pushes them further out, which I can't imagine how it would. If it keeps it the same, it keeps the same. But if it brings the scores closer, that means games get a little bit more competitive. There are some competitive games, by the time you get into the second and third round, you already know the game's over. There are a lot of games I've been in where by the second round, it's over. It's done. There's no coming back from this. No core. Let me see here. No core rules inside. Well, that just means I didn't change any core rules. I mean, you need your core rule book. Now, admittedly, that is kind of a pain in the ass because, let's be honest, there are certain books out there that I think one of the best examples, I was talking to some guys in the Reddit Orcs 40K subreddit, and a lot of them are like, what is the point of us having a book? With CA22 coming out, there is virtually no reason for them to carry their book because half the rules in their book have been updated, FAQ'd, or outright data slate changed. Their points, apparently there isn't a single unit in their book that has, there's equipment that does, but there isn't a single unit in their book that the prices are accurate for anymore. And that book came out in August. So that's frustrating. And I can understand it's frustrating. Oh, I see what you're saying. They don't actually reprint the core rules book, so you have to carry your core rule book with you around with you. Oh, yeah, that's kind of a pain in the ass. But yeah, Kirsch, you hit it on the head. Just carry the CA20 book on you because it's so much smaller than that huge rules. I mean, I like the big rules books. They're easy for these old eyes to read. But yeah, carrying the tournaments are a pain in the ass. I mean, the book box that I have to take with along with my army just seems to getting heavier and heavier and heavier. So yeah, I see what you're saying there. Yeah, I mean, it's $40 for the 2 books. I mean, yeah, it's kind of a hard thing to defend. I'm not going to lie. Especially when they gave the points book out. Didn't they give the points book out last year in a White Dwarf, like mid-year? So, yeah, I mean, that's a true statement. That's a true statement. Here's the thing. If I'm going to be honest, the points updates are necessary, but the fact that if you own the books and you have the code, that it doesn't update the books in your library and you have to literally have that extra book around. Yeah, that's a pain in the butt. The fact that they charge you for a book that's basically just the numbers changes rather than being like a $20 book for all the new chapter approved rules and just kind of toss in the points update, which is basically just a really expensive FAQ. I can see the argument there. I really can. The app will, admittedly, but the app also lets you pull up the books, and the books are now inaccurate. And that's my point. Like, there was a point when they were updating the books with FAQ points. Like, if you got a digital copy of the book and you got it after an FAQ, you could get an update of the book and go, oh, look, they've updated with new highlighted points at least. You know, they've not, oh, these points are changed. And, oh, this rule was changed here. You actually had. I've got annotated, from 8th edition, I've got a bunch of annotated books. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, yes, Battle Scribe, which unfortunately is coming close to end of life. So Windows or Android, if it doesn't get a proper update, it's going to be broken. A lot of people are worried about that. Not even going to get into that because that's a whole other thing. I've been talking with some of the developers that are working on a new version of Battlescribe since the original developer basically abandoned it. They're developing a new program that's basically a reverse engineered Battlescribe. So, Escalation League. What about the desktop app? I think the desktop app will be fine as long as you're running Windows 10. It'll be fine forever. I think it'll run fine in Windows 11 as Mac version of it for your phone. At some point, get to a point where something in Android gets patched and it doesn't work in the app anymore, which is why you have to have constant apps. But like I said, there's a group of people. If you go out to Battlescribe on Reddit, you'll see there's a Discord on there. If you go into their Discord link, you will get into the Discord, the Battlescribe Discord. There is a group of developers in the Battlescribe Discord that are working on a project. I do not remember the name of it. I apologize greatly. But they are basically working on a replacement for Battlescribe that will be a living program. So there will be developers constantly working on it to keep it up to date, to keep the program up to date, but it'll work basically the exact same as Battle. They're basically, from what I understand, they're just reverse engineering Battlescribe, and right now they're just working out the bugs. They're really close to being done. So it'll work the same way as Battlescribe does. The way it's updated is the same as Battlescribe. The way everybody handles it will be the exact same as Battlescribe. It may even use the same data files. The only difference is that it won't be Battlescribe, so that when it goes to be in the App Store, there are multiple people that can go, okay, I'm part of the project. We could update it if there's a problem with it. That's the biggest problem. Battlescribe was developed by a single guy. He figured it out, he programmed it, and then he abandoned it. And he hasn't been able to be contacted in like a year and a half. He may have just abandoned it, maybe dead. Nobody knows. I love Battlescribe. I love Battlescribe. I'll just leave it at that. Escalation League. I am currently running an Escalation League here in Milwaukee at the Games Universe, which is another independent gaming store. It's a trio of stores owned by the same guy. But I'm in Mequon, which is a northern suburb of Milwaukee. It's about 5 to 10 minutes from my house. I'm running an Escalation League there. I have the help of Kirschbaum and Commodore assisting me on weeks that I'm tied up or can't get there in time or whatnot to help this Escalation League going. This is not a traditional Escalation League. This is not we're tracking wins and losses. We are not tracking for anything like that. We're not tracking victories. What we are doing is I am focused more on we're increasing points as we go to increase familiarity with our army and increase familiarity with the rules of the game. But this is a league that is actually more about, hey, it's about a dozen people that get together on a weekly basis to play 40K for the sake of getting better at playing the game. We have complete novices. We had a person that just started playing the game a week ago. We started this back in December. At the end of January is our next week. This week and next week are the last two sessions at 1,000 points. I believe next week. Is next week? Next week, Thursday. Let me look real quick. So this Thursday is our last week at 1,000 points. Next week, we will be at 1,500 points. Now, that being said, I have certain people in the group that don't even have that number of points built yet. I have some people that are still fielding 500-point armies because that's all they have built. And that's okay. One of the things I really like about what we're doing here is, again, because we're not focusing on who beat who and who's winning over who and that. We're playing to win the game, obviously, but we're not tracking any of that. We're just playing to get better playing the game. We've got new players, we've got veteran players, and we've got people with some great patience, like Ryan, like myself, like Max, like Commodore, that are helping teach and train people up. Learn new armies, learn new tactics, get better at the rules, understand the rules. I have been in an Escalation League where it was, we're trying to beat each other up and score points. And that was fun. If you're wanting to play at a competitive level. And this is something I'm going to say that I know some people are going to be very surprised about. Other people I've talked to about this. A lot of people know I'm a very competitive player. I like being I like playing competitively. I like playing in the competitive scene. I played two people in what were supposed to be fun games. And I kind of beat the shit out of them. And I feel really bad about it because that wasn't the kind of game we were supposed to be having. In one case, we had been joshing about it. This is a lot of people saw the live stream between me and Lady D, where we were joshing about it, and I was starting to just play around with it, but dice rolls went against her very badly to begin with. And I mean, just really, really badly went against her to begin with. And I just absolutely smashed her to pieces. I've yet to get her back on the table playing. She likes the figures, she likes painting, but she's been a little gun shy about playing ever since then. She may not fully admit it, but I think it has a lot to do with it. And then I had a buddy of mine who I played with, and I didn't realize he had not played in 9th edition. I thought we were just playing to play, and I didn't realize we were playing and we were learning the rules, the new rules for 9th edition as we went. And so I absolutely just smashed everything he was doing. And then afterwards, when I realized that's the game we were playing, I felt really bad about it because of that and another game that he had. He no longer wants to play competitive. He's willing to play casually, but I don't think I've seen him play casually since then. I only talked about this. I think I've talked about this before. I think there are 3 ways to play this game. And I have been so focused for so long on being really good at my match play, tournament quality, by the numbers, by the rules, cutthroat, play that have kind of neglected the other 2. To that end, I think this Escalation League, because we're not playing that way, because we're playing to play and to get better at the rules, I mean, reiterate, hey, ask questions, slow down. If we don't finish a game, don't worry about it. We're here to make sure everybody understands the rules and can be confident in playing the game when they're not here. We've taken some people who have had some very negative experience. Oh, and that makes me remember, yes, I have seen him play against a game since then because he's played a couple games at the Escalation League. Because that's the mentality we have there. And it's a good mentality to have. In that we're here to play. We're not here to beat anybody. We're here to play the game. And I think that's a thing that people forget, that it's a game to be played. And some people aren't coming into this game to smash people. They're playing this game so they can put their cool painted figures down and roll some dice and tell some cool storytelling stuff they did with them. And I've forgotten. I've gotten away from that at times, and I've kind of forgotten about that at times. And I'm not saying I want to get away from competitive natured games. But I need to be clear when we're playing, and I want to be clear to people when we're playing, what kind of a list are we playing? Are we playing to crush, or are we playing for fun? And I actually, it's funny that Ben says something now, because I want to point out that I want to thank Ben for kind of getting through my brain and making me see the difference. Actually, not just Ben. I want to thank Ben and Tina, because they made me look at Age of Sigmar, and we were playing Age of Sigmar in a super casual storytelling format. And it made me look at Warhammer in a different light. If you get an opportunity to play, and I can't believe I'm going to say this because people have heard me bashing on this stuff for a while now. But if you get an opportunity to get together with a couple friends and set up a crusade campaign or a Path of Glory campaign, do it. Do it. The rules are complicated, and sometimes they might be a little overcomplicated. And sometimes they're kind of like, But stop, take a step back, and look at it again from the idea. Think of it like a role-playing game. You're doing a war game to tell a story, to tell kind of a role-play story. And suddenly, when you put those two together, the game takes on a completely different mindset. With that, I went back into Warcry and I looked at the Warcry campaign that's in the main rulebook. And it suddenly made a lot more sense to me. And when I get a chance, I want to look at Kill Team because I think the new Kill Team series has a campaign thing built into it. And I was like, why does it seem so foreign to me? I was in a Necromunda league back in the 90s. And literally, that's what Necromunda is. Necromunda is a role-playing game with war game rules. And I played Blood Bowl. And Blood Bowl in a league format, is a role-played football league where people get injured or are knocked out and come back and star players show up. And there's story and drama and pathos and lots of stupid silliness that you get out of a role-playing game. And I don't know when I forgot about that. But after kind of getting reminded of that by Ben and Tina, and having happened what happened with a couple people that are very dear to me, and having them kind of go about playing at a high-end Warhammer, and maybe remember that at its core, gaming is gaming is gaming. Role-playing games came from wargaming. Gaming is a social thing that people are supposed to have fun with. And both people should be having fun. And being fun is not necessarily just winning all the time. Some people want things other than just winning. They're looking for something else out of their game. Just don't lose sight of that, because I know I did. I didn't mean to, but I did. And I've had more fun with the game playing these silly escalation league games. And I have only rolled dice once for one game. I've been refereeing. I've been running around answering questions, getting people playing, walking people through playing. I think the only game I actually played, I might have played two. I played one against Phoenix. I was showing her rules. I let Commodore go play somebody else, and I sat down with her. We were going over basic rules. And watching her looking at the models and her beautiful painted models and starting to get the rules behind them. And it was really great to see. And there's another guy, and I will admit, there are times that people want different things out of the game. And sometimes what they want out of the game is just, I would never want that out of the game. But again, it's not for me, it's for them. So sometimes it's a little hard to deal with certain people. But, I mean, I take a little pride in that we've got a couple people that are really super new and are starting to get comfortable with the game. And I'm really proud of some of them that are really, really trying and really wanting to get in the game. It's just amazing to see. And it's great to see people playing the factions they want to see. They want to play. It's not about competitiveness. It's, there's an Eldar player. We got a couple of Tau players. We got a White Scars player. We've got Orcs. We got Sisters of Battle. I've played my Wolves one day, and I played my Admech another day. We've got one guy that's all about playing Knights. So I think it's just, I think if you're ever looking at the game and just kind of like, oh, this competitive thing is so, stop, take a step back, and let's make sure when you're about to play somebody or you're going to play somebody, talk about what kind of a game you're looking for. Because believe it or not, I think there's a lot more people that want to play the game for fun and for casualness and just to put their best looking units and their most fun units on the table rather than worrying about how perfect that I put my points together so that I am the most efficient killing machine possible. Have fun. My God, Drazar is a beast. I had Drazar just absolutely just one-shot a Dreadnought in one turn. It was just, man. All right, and on the Commodore Terrain project, I don't know, I threw it all away. No, I haven't worked on it, honestly. I haven't been working on it. I've got it. I have not been working on it. I haven't done a lot of oh my God, I have not been painting much. I've been building and prepping and planning and thinking about everything I got to do over the next 6 months for this channel. Trying to get things ready so that we can get this stuff off the table and start getting ready to film some battle reports. Shut up, you. Your terrain it's coming though. It's I mean, half of it's done. It's just I want to have it all completed so I can bring it out to you. And I don't want to just give you like half and take you on it. No, I want to do the whole thing, give it to you all at once. I'll be honest, Lady D getting her surgery took a lot of wind out of my sails. I haven't had a lot of motivation to paint. I've had more involved sitting on my table for a month half painted. She's like been half painted for like a month. I need to get her done. I need to get some of this stuff done. I need to get motivated. Cleaning up a lot of purging a lot of stuff helped. Getting some of this terrain together, getting me motivated to get it done so I can get my terrain done so that I can start with my storytelling series. Is super exciting to me. So, that being said, I guess with all the things I ranted about tonight, I think the biggest takeaway we can take away in this last Taco Tuesday of January 2022. This is a game. It has always been a game. And it is really of the importance of gaming with friends and a continued back and forth and it not just being a one-sided beatdown. So my New Year's resolution is not to build or paint any models. Wow, what is wrong with you, Bill? What is wrong with you, Ben? Not build or paint any models? Oh, I can't imagine a more miserable existence. My New Year's resolution is to not fall down on the job anymore and get what I have done. Finish some of these freaking projects. I really want to get a lot of these projects done and off the plate. I'd be able to paint everything. So yeah, okay, I can see that. Speaking of, one last thing before we get to the end of the show. Ben and Tina were really good about showing me Age of Sigmar and getting me back on track again. I need to get some casual games of Age of Sigmar back in. Not specifically just Path of Glory games, but just basic rules games, like figures on a table, playing with the rules again. Because there's a couple rules I need to be reminded of. But I want to start playing more Age of Sigmar. I want to kind of balance the two out. I have a lot of Age of Sigmar stuff, and I really enjoy Age of Sigmar. It's funny. You hear so many old Grognard fantasy players complain about Age of Sigmar and the scale of it. I'm like, you know what? I like the bigger figures. I like the chunkier figures. The fact that everybody's on 32s and 40s and bigger, and it's really super epic, heroic, instead of being a dark, grungy fantasy war game. If I want a dark, grungy, fantasy war game, there's plenty of things out there. But there is no big, bright, super epic battle game like Age of Sigmar. And I really like that aspect about it. So I definitely need to play it more. All right. Well, it's good work there, Mythos. It's good work, definitely. Ben, we'll have to talk because I have exactly 2,000 points when I get these guys assembled. 2,000 points of Maggotkin, and I want to better understand how to play them because I really like the aesthetics of the army. The big thing I think everybody needs to remember is that if you make a resolution, if you don't succeed, it's not a failure. It's just an attempt to be better. And that's always a good thing. That's my thought of the night. Something to take away. Walk that one home with you and think about it. It's not a failure, it's an opportunity. So, that being said, we're going to wrap things up here at 9:15. We're only 15 minutes over. That's all right. I want to thank everybody for sticking with me tonight. If you would be so kind as to hit that thumbs up button, give me them likes. Let me know that I am entertaining you. We're having a good time. We're having a good conversation. We will be back next week where we will talk about everything under the realm of Games Workshop, be it Kill Team, Warcry, Warhammer 40K, or Age of Sigmar. We'll also talk about other war games from time to time and just general hobby stuff. I might actually have a hobby video out this weekend about some basing. We will see. I'm not going to promise anything, but I've got a bunch of stuff queued up. So that being said, all my friends, I love you so much. I thank you so much for all the support you give me. I want to give a big shout out. Mini Warm Mud, Inquisitor Zane, Joe Bookish, James Brown, Wolf Brother Mythos, Greg Tesh, Hellchild, Lady Phoenix, and Commodore, my wonderful Patreon supporters, especially a group of you. But I want to thank everyone who's here tonight, because every time we have these great conversations, you make me think. You make me think about stuff, and hopefully I give you something to think about too. So until next week, epic your board, epic your game, build your figures, play your games, and remember, game on.